Bible verse for today comes from the book of Isaiah. It's an Old Testament book, chapter 40, verses 28 to 31. This is what it says. Isaiah, he's speaking to the people. He says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint. He does not grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary. The young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint." Now, I've always loved that Bible verse. Great time. It's a great verse. Isaiah, when he wrote it, we think it was around 700 BC, which is a long time ago. Right? Quite a long time ago. And that was a difficult period for the Israelites. They were constantly being attacked by other nations. They were always under threat. So while this book, Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, if you read it, there's a lot of prophecy in it, predicting future things like Jesus and John the Baptist. He's also talking directly to the Israelites, the people of that day. Right? He's calling them out for their bad behavior, for their belief, their weaknesses. And he puts little tiny bits in there, little gold nuggets, like this Bible verse, that to the right person who searches God, who's truly looking, it gives them hope, it gives them strength, it gives them courage. Because a lot of these cases, when there's a great stress going on, it's a matter of life and death for some people. And we're going to talk about this more in a little bit. Some people, when they get that close to the edge, they have no light, they see no hope. It can really be a bad thing and take them down a bad path. So this Bible verse is actually on a very important, very serious topic. Because many times in life has a lot of ups and downs. Life is beautiful, it's wonderful, but there's also very sad times. Right? If I was to stand up here and say, listen, if you go to this church, you give us lots of money, your life is going to be great. I'd make a lot of money, wouldn't I? But would I be a liar? Yeah, I kind of would be. And that's what Isaiah is saying. Your life is going to be difficult. There's good things, there's bad things. That happens. But God is there for you. He will always be there for you. And even in those dark times, if you have faith, if you believe in God, He will make you feel like you're soaring on wings like He. You can go through all this horrible stuff and still see hope. Those situations are very real. It happens. So with all this going on, Isaiah, he starts out, he asks the people a question. He says, haven't you heard? Haven't you known? He said, God, He's everlasting. He's always been there. He's eternal. He doesn't grow weary. Just because you're going through a hard time, it doesn't mean He forgot. Got busy. Right? Hadn't checked his Facebook account in a while. Missed the whole thing. He doesn't happen like that. He doesn't have limits. There's no limit to His understanding. And Isaiah, as I said, he's speaking to people who are starting to lose hope. They're on that, like you call that precipice, where something's about to happen. And even like I said, in our life today, that does happen. Sometimes you go through periods where it seems like there's no light, there's no hope. And people are actually extremely resilient. They can go through many, many things as long as they have hope, as long as there's a reason or there's a purpose. But people who go through those same difficult times that have no purpose, no focus, no light, bad things can happen. And God knows this. For example, can you imagine, put yourself in God's shoes. What would it have felt like for Him to kick Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden? Do you think He was thrilled? Do you think it broke His heart? He said, there's one thing I don't want you to do. One thing don't do. Don't eat from this one tree. Just, you can live here forever. I'll be with you. And what did they do? Then He kicked them out. And He knew what was going to happen to them when they were outside the Garden of Eden. He knew they were going to experience hardship and death. They're going to be afraid. He knew their kids were going to cause problems. They had 2 boys. What happened? One of them killed the other one over an offering, the offering plate. God knew that was going to happen. But He never left them. And now, many, many years later, the Israelites are going through the same thing. In fact, the Israelites are starting to worship other gods. They were getting so stressed and so scared. You got another God? What's his name? We're there. It's going to work. I'm going to do it. You got one person who's sick. When they get sick, they will try anything. Take a little bit of dirt, mix it with some honey, you're going to be fine. But Isaiah says, God never left. You're the one that left him. You turn your back on him. You're worshiping other gods. And now that things aren't going well, you blame him. You walked away from him. But there was actually a small group within the Israelites that didn't lose faith. And when they saw this Bible verse, it spoke to them. It changed them. With all the bad stuff going on, they still knew God was there. And Isaiah says, this Bible verse, it gives hope to the faint, strengthens the powerless. Young people will grow weak and run out of energy, but you will not. You will always be there. Now there's a picture I want to show you in just a second. And it really, it's going to bring this home big time. It's an emotional, it's a powerful picture. And what it does is you're going to see in just a second how, depending on where you are in your faith, what you believe can either bring hope or hopelessness. Okay? Let's see that picture. This is real. This is not doctored in any way. This photograph was taken by a photographer who was on assignment in Africa to document famine, poverty, and the atrocities of war, which I think he certainly got. If you do a little bit of research, what happened was the helicopter landed near this one refugee camp, and in the distance, the photographer saw some birds hovering around something. So he walked a short distance, and this is what he saw. So what he did, it says it took him about 10 minutes to get just the right picture. Went too close, went too far, the birds flew away. Backed off a little bit, got just the right angle, you get the kid and at least one of the birds. It's a pretty impactful picture, right? After he was done, you know what he did? Went back to the helicopter and he flew off to another place. Now, he ended up winning the Pulitzer Prize, but about 6 weeks after winning the Pulitzer Prize, he committed suicide. His name was Kevin Carter, and he died on July 27, 1994. He had a suicide note. And this is what it says. It says, I'm really, really sorry. The pain of life overrides the joy to the point that joy does not exist. Now, this guy, Kevin, was not a bad person. That's not the point I want to make. He documented the worst of what humanity does. In humanity, we do some wonderful things, we do some horrible things. But he saw this, he lost all hope. There was no light, there was absolutely no possibility of joy. It was better to take his own life to ease the pain. But we're missing something here. There was a food station nearby, run by a group of Christians. If you were in that food station, what would you do if you saw that little girl? How fast can you run is the question, right? It would break your heart, but what would you do? You would pick her up, and you would run back, and you would make sure she got food, water, doctor. Because you bring hope. There are places where it's very dark, it's very scary, but Jesus Christ said, take your life to all people. So this, unfortunately, this man, Kevin, this photographer, didn't have any of that. He was part of a world that was out to take good pictures and sell magazines, as opposed to help in this world. This is where God meets the human world, where God says, yes, you guys are going to do awful stuff to each other, but my followers will be on the side of good, will be there for help. And having faith in God is what makes you see something like this. The only thing you want to do is help. I'm going to Haiti in about 5 days. There are situations just like this. I have not seen any vultures, but I've seen lots of kids that are skinny like that, have no food. We keep going back. Why? Because we care. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. When you see that, you know there is a God. This God loves this world and he wants us to help out, to get our hands dirty. See, Satan is the exact opposite. He uses something like this. He uses it to drive a wedge between you and God. He wants you to feel hopeless. He wants you to say there's no hope, there's no light, there's no way. But what does Jesus say? There is a way. What I want you to do is go pick her up. Even though she doesn't speak English, I want you to tell her how much you love her. You're going to care for her. You're going to make sure she gets some food, some water, because we care about her. Satan got this guy Kevin to doubt everything. Absolutely. To where he said it himself, there is no joy. Now let me read you this Bible verse one more time from Satan. It says, those who put their hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will mount up on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So if you were in this area and you saw 100 kids like this, you picked up 10, would you go, I'm done, I need a break? How many would you go, I don't care. It takes me 6 days. I will go, well, no. That's what Isaiah is talking about. It gives strength and courage, making solid, real difference. And how good will that feel? Want to see a cool picture? Go to the next slide. That's Chloe. She's one of the kids in our orphanage we support. I'm going to go see her and give her a big hug on Friday. And I'm going to take the pictures I just took and showed it to her. And all the other kids there. And let her know that we love them. We care about them. We will always be there to help. They'll never be alone. How does that feel? Pretty good. So you can see that kind of stuff. Devastation and famine and hunger. And you know what? It gives you strength. We can do this. I don't know if we can save all of them, but we're certainly going to do our part to do some. And we're going to do as best as we can. Because with God, great things can happen. Ordinary, average people can do good things. I may accidentally start a big fire over there, and I won't intend to do it. And we're working on a solar panel, so if you see a big fire in that direction on Saturday. But no, the kids got food, and all this will be great. But that is our strength, is our hope. This last Bible verse I want to share you is a message from Jesus himself. It's going to make so much more sense now. Let's go to that. Jesus said, come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying a heavy burden. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me. I'm gentle, humble in heart. And what? You will find rest for your soul. Does that make more sense in this kind of world when you see that picture? Yeah, that's what he's talking about. There's great stuff in this world. There's bad stuff in this world. But with Jesus Christ, we follow him. You have rest for your soul. You bring that life. I'm just an average dude. I'm an average guy, but guess what? All the funds that we do, we're taking over to Haiti, they bring life. Kids have a chance. It's awesome. It's a beautiful thing. And unfortunately, that's something that this photographer, Kevin, I wish he would have heard or known. He was a human. He was lost. But our hope is in God. And with him, there is never a dark place. There's always love. There's always joy. There's always forgiveness. And that's what God truly wants for us. That's what he desires for this world. So it's our prayer in this church, not that you never see dark places. Not that you never, ever go through hard times. Because that happens in life. But no matter what happens, you know that God is there for you. He loves you. He cares for you. There's always light. There's always hope. And with churches like these, we'll always take a stand for what's good. And we'll do our part to help out. That's what Jesus would want. Amen.
Amen.